Your hands together for Rebecca Rodman and Jason Echo.
Cello, usually much larger, but we're on a little tour of Florida and Georgia, and then the rest of the band is joining us in Panama City, Florida, I guess. We don't often do the geography very well. We were in Tampa this morning. We travel everywhere playing lots of stuff. One of our most recent weird tours was to Iceland, of all places, where an Icelandic movie star who you've never heard of, because I've asked everybody, hired us to play at her wedding, about 15 miles south of the Arctic Circle, which was quite an adventure. And we do other exciting things like that. We'll tell you all about our travel stuff as we go through it. We're going to play all sorts of music for today, and partway through, we're happy to take requests if you want us to play something that you might have on your mind, or we can write it down and play it next time we come through, or something like that if we don't already know it. But we're very excited to be here today. We're just going to make sure the cello's on.
Yeah.
All right, how about Creedence Clearwater?
There
place doing all sorts of concerts, and almost all the time we get to meet lots of nice people, and every once in a while we just piss everybody off. And where that tends to happen the most is with the traditional bluegrass crowd. And it's not the audiences, it's the other artists. Whole Facebook post devoted to Dirty Cello doesn't play bluegrass music. And for whatever reason, their biggest problem is with the cello of all things. Now, we're playing a bluegrass festival a while back, and there was a man whose name I'm not going to say on stage there, and he's considered the father of modern bluegrass music on the fiddle, of course. And he got a load of us doing bluegrass music featuring the cello. And he found us backstage. He sat down with Rebecca and said, "You know who I am?" She's like, "Yeah, I know who you are." And he said, "Okay, so I see you're doing this cello bluegrass stuff. You need to stop it." And he proceeded to list all of the reasons why Rebecca was ruining the art of bluegrass music. So she got in the car pretty mad about that and pulled up his entry on Wikipedia. And there's a line on there that said, at all his concerts, he plays his signature song on the fiddle, of course. And Rebecca said, "I'm going to learn that on the cello." So this is our rendition of the Orange Blossom Special. for
7 years.
7 years. Sometimes we get that wrong. And we met as college music majors at a small college called Cal State Hayward near San Francisco. And Rebecca was the star cello student for classical cello, and I was the not star flute player. We tried playing for a lot of years classical cello and flute duets, and it turned out nobody wanted to hear that. But after a while, we started the whole Dirty Cello project. We'll tell you more about that later. But of course, since we've been together for quite some time, we have those moments where we're not totally agreeing with each other, right? And during one of those not totally agreeing with each other moments, Rebecca looked over at me and said, well, you know what? I may not be perfect, but I'm pretty damn good. And I had a very bad answer for that. I looked right back at her and said, that would make a great song title. Now, after the dust settled, we did write a song, and it was, of course, called I May Not Be Perfect, But I'm Pretty Damn Good, and none of the rest of the song is autobiographical.
I said I may not be perfect, but I'm pretty damn good. I said I may not be perfect, but I'm pretty damn good. I need to tell you, baby, I wish you loved me like you should. I
traveling musicians for a living, and at this point in time in the concert, we're supposed to tell a sad story about the past couple years of performing and everything. But we don't actually have a sad story. We only missed 3 weekends of performance, but it got very weird. We tried all those horrible live streams. We did the concerts on Zoom, and no one liked that. We started working for Google, and that was unsatisfying. We got paid to perform live streams in empty theaters, which was also unsatisfying. And after a while, Rebecca read an article, though, in the local paper that said that animals at the Oakland Zoo were missing having people around. So she wrote him an email and said, would the animals like a concert? And they surprisingly said yes. So we rounded up the band and dragged them out to the Oakland Zoo, and the keepers took us around to perform for the animals. First stop was the goats, and they were wildly disinterested. Next they took us over to the elephants, who immediately walked away. Except for one who returned, and she started dancing from side to side, and we thought, okay, here's our moment, the elephant's dancing. Keeper runs over and stops us immediately and says, that's how she shows she's angry. Over to the otters, no reaction. I think the keepers were getting bored at this point in time, so they took us in the enclosure with the giant tortoise and had us play some Guns N' Roses for the giant tortoise, which walked over to a mud puddle and went to sleep. There's actually a video of that. Then they took us over to the parrots. We thought if anybody's going to like it, it's going to be the parrots. So we're playing for the macaws, and there's no reaction. But out they bring a little tiny green parrot named Brock, short for broccoli, and it's the one they take to the elementary schools. And Rebecca's playing the blues, and we're kind of going along, and all of a sudden this little parrot starts singing with us, perfectly in tune. And he's taking little solos, and Rebecca's playing to him, he's playing back, and it was great. And they filmed the whole thing. So that went out everywhere, and it's on all the local news stations, and we're doing all these interviews and everything like that. And when you're done, today's concert, just type in dirty cello and parrot, and it'll pop right up, and you see the whole video. And it kind of went around everywhere. We started getting all this fan mail about it and things like that. And before long, the real NBC morning show gives us a call and says, we're going to put you on air with Brock. We need a feel-good story. And we thought, okay, here's our big moment. So they sent a film crew to the Oakland Zoo. And we brought out the whole band, and we set up, and we started the same song that Brock sang to before. And out they bring Brock, and... So we try another song, nothing. 2.5 hours later, we've played the beginnings of every song we could think of. We've given him treats, we've let him rest, we've put him in the shade, we moved to a different location, never sang again with us. However, keep your eye on America's Funniest Home Videos, because they're going to put the original video on that pretty soon. They're going to do an animal episode, and that will be one of the videos being featured. Now, after that, we realized we really needed to perform for people more, because animals weren't so into it. So we started playing at buffalo ranches, where they make bison burgers, or grow bison burgers, I guess, and you can really spread people out on a giant buffalo ranch. Each family was given a hay bale. Played an apple orchard the same way, but someone called the cops on us. That was unpleasant. And then we found a place in California, or a type of place, that never closed, no matter what. It stayed open through the entire thing. And that turned out to be nudist resorts. And before anyone gets any ideas, we kept our clothes firmly on. No one else did, though. And I remember we get up there, and we're on a big stage, and there's a couple hundred people out in the crowd, and we look out there, and everybody was following the rules. They were standing 6 feet distant, and they were wearing their masks. That's all. And Rebecca just gets the giggles, and she calls the whole band over, and she says, you know, they always say, whenever you're nervous, picture the audience. Yeah, that doesn't really work in real life, it turns out. So we started off with some groovy rock and roll. We had the drums and the bass and the keyboard and everything with us, and people are dancing, which was weird. And then all of a sudden, without thinking about it, I call a very fast bluegrass song. We just go flying into this blisteringly fast song. And as Rebecca says about that, you can never unsee with the way the dancing started. And then because it's Northern California, the hula hoops came out. So over all the pandemic stuff, we traveled, we did all sorts of stuff. We became the band you hire for nudist resorts. We had to do 5 naked concerts. And we became the band that played at all the zoo reopenings, too. Because we searched for a band that plays at a zoos, we pop right up. So in honor of all that, we're going to play the same fast bluegrass song we played for the naked people. Please don't picture what we saw.
She will not hold you in the pouring rain, moving through dark years like a hurricane. From some people waters, coming so green, Louisville and Nashville and all what's in between. Pounding that rhythm, making all lost time, heading for the bluegrass in the mind. White smoke rolling, whistle blowing, listen to her and to keep in time. And I hear all the time. Burning my noon, I went through distance and up my to moon. And lots of whistle cries and low summer rain. The boys on the street sing out the pain. No one is gonna stop her from her pointed rounds. The train is moving on its glory bound. White smoke rolling, whistle blowing. Listen to her and you keep in time. And I hear borderline. When we just gotten married, and 7 years ago what happened was we bought our first house, and I don't know if it's difficult to buy it here, but it's very difficult in California, and I'd never bought a house before, so I had a lot of questions for my loan agent. So I'd get on the phone with him and I'd ask him a question and he'd answer it and it was great. But then after a while I'd get on the phone with him, I'd ask him a question, he'd answer it, and then he'd call me sweetie. And it wasn't a sweet thing, he just did that every single time, and I should have called him on it. But instead I wrote the song, and it's called Don't Call Me Honey. Don't call me honey, don't call me baby, don't call me sweetie, I ain't your lady. Don't call me girl, don't call me honey, don't call me anything, you ain't the one. You're twice as old, but twice as smart. You wanna go out, but you're just an old fart. I have something to offer you wouldn't expect. It's
every cello project got started off a very interesting way. Rebecca's a classical cellist, and in the Bay Area she plays in the Santa Rosa Symphony, she plays in the Oakland Symphony. You've heard her on movie soundtracks before and stuff like that. She has a whole career as a classical cellist. But after a while she was getting pretty tired of being in all these orchestras and doing that as her main thing. In those orchestras she has to wear a certain dress code where her wrists have to be covered and her ankles have to be covered and it has to be all black, and she sits there playing long, boring notes and stuff like that. And she said, I want to do something and let my hair down and try something a little different. So she entered a very prestigious competition called Vallejo's Got Talent. Now, in the Bay Area, if you say that, everyone starts laughing because Vallejo's sort of the town everyone makes fun of. And it was held in the basement of a bookstore. And Rebecca comes on stage, and she starts off playing this very pretty classical song. And she cues the sound guy, and he hits play on the iPod, and it busts into Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions. And she plays the guitar part on the cello. And afterwards, I'm very proud to say Rebecca won Vallejo's Got Talent. A grand prize of $50. Second prize went to an 8-year-old girl singing Disney songs. And after the concert, what else happened was people said, hey, can you play another? And she had to say no, because that was the only rock song she knew. But we thought we might have something. And around the time, my cousin got divorced, and she kept her husband's guitar, and I got the guitar. And so we started trying to do this whole rock and roll thing. And we put up all these videos on YouTube. And before too long, Real America's Got Talent calls Rebecca and says, hey, we want you on the show. Have you ever watched that show and thought, is it fake? It is far more fake than you could possibly imagine. All those people waiting in line outside to audition stuff, they're just there for show. They're not going on it. When they want you on the show, they call you, they say, we're putting you on the show, we're giving you a role, and you're either going to win or lose. It's all decided long before anyone sets foot anywhere. They sat Rebecca down and said, first of all, here's your non-disclosure agreement. You can never speak of it in public. Second of all, you are going to lose. And we're flying you to Portland in 4 days. Portland, Oregon. And because they knew she was going to lose, they picked the songs for the losers because they pay less money for obscure songs. So they grabbed an obscure Joe Satriani song instead of something rockin' that Rebecca wanted to play. They also said, you cannot bring the band with you. And so we fly up to Portland. I got to kind of come along with her, but I wasn't allowed to play. And we get there the night before, and they're filming for 2 days to get one episode. And we sit in the audience and we notice a couple strange things. First of all the spontaneous stuff is not spontaneous. They made everybody cheer in the audience over and over and over again until they got it right. The second thing was, if you've ever wondered why all those people are booing so meanly in the audience, it's because you get a free t-shirt if you boo really badly. There's a guy standing off to the side that you never see telling the audience when to boo and when to cheer. So we come back the next day, and they take us into a room, and they start doing weird filming things. So we've been there for a few hours, and they say, okay, go outside the door and walk back in. And so you find this online, you'll see Rebecca come walking in, the cello case is empty. We've been there for hours. And then they say, okay, do your pre-concert stretches. And she's like, I don't stretch before a concert. And they're like, nope, do it. And they film her doing stretches. And it was all this setup. And so every couple hours they'd say, all right, you're on, go, go, go. And they'd run her up to the stage. And then they say, never mind, send her backstage. And the whole idea was to kind of get her hyped up and ready to cry and have all these problems and stuff like that. And so they did that. I think we were there for 6-7 hours. And finally she goes out on stage. And she starts rocking out. And if you listen to it online, you'll hear the audience booing. But they added the booing in later. And if you listen closely, you can hear a loop of the booing, where they just kind of recycled the same booing over and over again. And so she's playing along, and she gets X'd out by the judges, and they begin attacking her, trying to make her cry. And they say things like, you can't make a living playing the cello, can you? And she kind of giggles at that and says, oh no, I make a great living. They didn't like that answer very much. And then they say, cello's not meant to be played as a solo instrument. She's all, actually, no, it has a very long history of being a solo instrument. They hated that answer, too. And they said a few more mean things. And finally, Sharon Osbourne, of all people, who married Ozzy Osbourne, looks at her and goes, when I die and go to hell, your music will be the soundtrack. Which was pretty harsh. That was Rebecca's response, though. She kind of giggled through the whole thing. And finally, they say, okay, can you play any better? And she's like, no, that's what I sound like. And they throw her off the stage. And as she's coming off, they put a camera in her face. And they say, you've just been humiliated in front of millions of people. How do you feel? And they wanted her to flip off the camera, scream, something like that. She looks right at the camera and says, thank you very much for the opportunity. And they really hated that answer. So, whatchamacallit? The question then is, how did she keep her cool on stage, right? How did I keep my cool backstage waiting for her? We have a very good answer for that. At that point in time in our careers, we were actually public school music teachers. And those children are a lot scarier than those judges, as are their parents. So that was the whole beginning of the Dirty Cello project. Now, we're not going to play the obscure Joe Satriani song, but we are going to play the song Rebecca wanted to play, which is Jimi Hendrix's Purple Haze. The start of a 7-concert, 8 days tour with lots of driving, but we are sticking around here for a couple days, and we have another band called the San Francisco Yiddish Combo, which is a traditional klezmer band, and we will be playing at, where are we playing? Israel, in here, on Tuesday. Right? And if you go to their website or look up San Francisco Yiddish Combo, you can find tickets there. Now, klezmer music is an interesting thing. It's a folk music of Eastern European Jewish folks, and it's a very lively, fun sound. And there's no good definition for exactly what klezmer music sounds like, because it gets borrowed from a lot of different cultures. So we're going to do a song that's popular from our set from there, in case you want to come see us. And this is a song that you know it, probably, but it depends on how old you are. So it's either an old Greek folk song, or old klezmer song, or it's a Dick Dale surf rock song, or it's that one song from the movie Pulp Fiction. set foot in Georgia. And we are enjoying the first 2.5 hours we've had here. And we always try to think of, do we have a song that works for coming here? And it turns out we know a song called The Devil Went Down to Georgia. Now, this often goes wildly off the rails, especially in Wyoming. That didn't go well at all. Does anyone have any good ideas, genres, styles of songs?
Oh, how about Janis Joplin?
Janis Joplin. Which one?
Bobby McGee.
Busted flat in Baton Rouge, waiting for the train. I was feeling nervous, faded as my jeans. Bobby thumbed a diesel down just before it rained and rode us all the way to New Orleans. Well, I'm pulling my harpoon out of my dirty red bandana. I was playing song while Bobby sang the blues. Windshield wipers slapping time, I was holding Bobby's hand in mine. We sang every song that I tried to do. We sang every song that I tried to do. Freedom's soul. From all kinds of weather to everything we've done. Yeah, Bobby, baby, he kept me from the cold. One day I'm near Selena's throat, but I let him slip away. He's looking for that home, and I hope he finds it. Will I trade all my tomorrows for one single yesterday? To be holding Bobby's body next to mine. To be holding Bobby's body next to mine. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing, it ain't nothing, it ain't free. And feeling good, what's easy, Lord, when it's in the blues. You know, feeling good, what's good enough for me. Good enough for me, Bobby McGee. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Left a good job in the city, working for the man every night and day. But I never lost 1 minute of sleeping, worrying about the way things might have been. If we'll keep on turning around, maybe keep on burning. Yeah, we're rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Yeah, we're rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. All right, Savannah, it's your turn to sing. Let's hear it. Rolling. Oh, Savannah, Georgia, what are we gonna do with you? Rolling. Okay. I got distracted, let me try it again. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. That's what I'm talking about. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. One more time. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Rolling, 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 rolling on the river.
So we got one more for you. First of all, I think there's a reception afterwards, right? Yeah. And we have CDs for sale, which we may have brought a lot of and may not be quite fitting in the suitcase. We have a CD of all our fans' favorite 60s songs called Dirty Cello Smokes the 60s, and it's in a bright yellow one. This is all with the full band. We have another one called I May Not Be Perfect, but I'm pretty damn good, with mostly original music. We have one called By Request, which we took all of the audience requests for 2 years, wrote them all down, and recorded the top 11 requests. We have a traditional bluegrass CD with banjo and 3-part harmonies and everything. And of course, we have some CDs for the San Francisco Yiddish Combo performance. And we have tank tops and t-shirts and some very, very cool hats. And again, our luggage is a little full, so if you could help out with that, would be great. We also have little half-size flyers of all the places we'll be over the next few days. Obviously the one here in Savannah. Then we'll be in High Springs, Florida. Then in Dunedin on... Dunedin? Thank you. We've not got that right. On, what is that, Thursday? Or?
Yeah, I think Thursday.
Yeah. And then we'll be in Northport, Florida, at a venue there. And then we'll be over in Lynn Haven, over on the, where is that? Okay, Panhandle, there we go. We don't quite have the geography down yet. Anyways, our first couple hours in Georgia have been a lot of fun. Thank you all for being here. We're gonna wrap things up with our favorite song to end with. And which one is that, Rebecca?
The House of the Rising Sun. There is a house in New Orleans. They call the Rising Sun. It's been the ruin of many a poor girl. And God, I know I want my mind the wise to take her. She stole my blue shoes. My husband, he's a
to the reception.